Hi everyone. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my plans for this upcoming fall period. There are no less than three painting challenges that are starting or that have started that I'd like to participate in. Before I do that, however, I have to tell you that this is not the first attempt I made for this video. The first try looked a little bit like this. Hi everyone, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the upcoming projects that I plan to do this coming fall and a little bit beyond as well. It was then I realized I needed a new computer. I already knew I needed a new computer, so I got one that had a good CPU and a good GPU so that I can use it for recording and editing videos. Now, after that, the curse of this video was not yet lifted because my trusty microphone broke down. I got a replacement mic that sounded pretty terrible. I got a replacement for the replacement mic that also sounded terrible. And finally, I decided to just throw a little bit more money at it, get one that is highly recommended. So here we are with my new microphone recording this. This is the first thing I record with this microphone. Apart, of course, from some tests to see if I have the volume set correctly. And I will probably need some more fine tuning later on. Well, anyway, with those hardware problems out of the way, let's talk about the painting challenges. The first one is called the Tale of Fourth Gamers. It's being hosted by Dave Gilson in the Warhammer 4th Edition Facebook group. This is a really fun challenge. It runs for a year, and you start the challenge with in this month in August by painting a character. That's your general. After the first month, you have to buy miniatures, you get a virtual budget, and the virtual budget for the first month is 50 gold coins. For each subsequent month, the budget is 25. So every month you get 25 gold coins to add to your army. You don't have to spend all of the coins at once, you can save them as long as you make sure that by the end of the challenge you have spent as pretty close to all of it as you can. So for this challenge, I decided to do dwarfs. I named my general, and I'm not very good at coming up with names, so I used this fantasy name generator, and after clicking it a couple of times, I found a name that I liked, which is Oddog Runebelt. Here I have Oddog in his primed glory, and now let's go ahead and paint him up. So Odok, there we have him, he's painted up. And Odok is going to be the main protagonist of my three challenges because what I want to do is I want to link all of these challenges together and create a fun overarching story. At least I hope it's fun. So for this dwarf army, I made an Excel sheet, and it's for the first months I'm not going to buy too much because I've also got these other challenges, and then I'm going to spend all of my money near the end, or at least in the next half of the challenge, in the first half of 2024. That's the plan. So, the second challenge starts in September. That's called the Fantasy Fall Block Brawl. It's being hosted by Dr. the Viking from the Cowabunga blog website. And he's usually known for 40k challenges, but he decided that it's also time for him to host a fantasy challenge. This fantasy challenge consisting purely of blocks of units, infantry, cavalry, monstrous infantry, you name it, just pledge it and this can be painted. 3 months the challenge runs, and for this challenge I decided to do a lot of goblins. I have a little over two starter sets worth of goblins, two of the fourth edition starter sets, plus the spearmen of a third starter set. So in total, that's around 170 goblins. Now, these are not going to be painted to any high standard. This is just going to be lots of contrast paints, lots of cutting corners. But, well, I have painted lots of miniatures before, so I think I'm fairly confident that I can do this. For example, over the previous Call of the Crown challenge, Call of the Crown Edition 2, I painted around 7,500 points of Beastmen in the span of 8 months. Not only that, during this challenge, I also painted some other stuff, such as these 42 halberdiers with a warrior priest that I wanted to get finished by May the 6th to commemorate the last stand of the Swiss Guards. So, if you are unfamiliar with that, Sabaton has a great song about that. Go check that out. I can highly recommend it. So these miniatures I painted up within a rather short time span, so I'm confident that I can do that again with the goblins in the fall. The third challenge I want to mention and that I'm participating in is the one that I'm hosting together with Joshua from the Crown of Command podcast. This is the Call of the Crown Edition 3. And for this challenge, we have decided to, there is a sort of a free category where people can paint more or less what they want, as long as it's in the Hero Hammer era, preferably also Hero Hammer miniatures. But we would really like to see people painting campaign armies, back of the army book starter set armies, battle report armies, something like that, something that's in the old white dwarfs. And for this challenge, I opted to go with the undead army of this battle report in White Dwarf 217. Now, the fun thing is that the undead are battling beastmen, and most of the beastmen miniatures I have already painted. I'm just missing some chaos trolls and some harpies. Maybe if I'm able to do them at some point during the next year, then I can replay this battle report and see how that goes. Now, the undead for this battle report, being led by Heinrich Kemmler, um, because I've got a lot of goblins to paint, and this challenge starts in October. So August is the start of the Tale of Fourth Gamers, September the start of the Fantasy Fall Block Brawl, and October the start of the Call of the Crown. Um, because I want to do a lot of goblins, I'm going to go pretty light on the other challenges. So for the first month for my dwarf army, I'm going to start with some crossbowmen. I need a unit because I need to have a legal army at the end of each month, which means that only 50% of my troops can consist of characters. So my general, I gave him a couple of cheap runes just to deck him out a little bit because I also want to play with him. Now, like I mentioned, I wanted to tie these three challenges together. And the way to do that is in a narrative sense. My main protagonist is going to be Odok and his dwarfs. They find out that there is a dwarf mountain hold, an ancestral fortress, held currently by goblins. Why an ancestral dwarf fortress? Because I've got these two lovely miniatures. One of them is a dwarf castle or stronghold by a German company called Citerdes, which I believe sadly has gone out of business, but I was lucky enough to get this one on the second-hand market. And the other one is this dwarf mountain stronghold by Games Workshop. These two are going to be my main centerpiece units. The goblins occupy the fortress. The dwarfs, when the army grows to a decent enough size, are going to try to take the fortress. And whether or not they succeed, at some point the undead will come in and try to either take the fortress for themselves or maybe to uh, get the dwarves to eliminate the goblins and then eliminate the dwarves, stabbing them in the back. Maybe there will be an alliance between the goblins and the undead. I don't know yet how that will play out. We'll just see how it goes in the upcoming months. Although this will probably, before I start battling, this will probably be somewhere around 2024 already. All right, everyone, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you like the video. Also, you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already and keep yourself notified of more content like this and future videos that I will release. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, feel free to contact me via any of these means that you see on the screen here. I also want to let you know that Forces of Fantasy has a Patreon page. If you like the podcast and if you like videos like this, why not consider becoming a patron on the Forces of Fantasy Patreon page, which is non-tiered by the way, so you can join for as little or as much each month as you want. On this page, you will find previews, bonus content, and other fun stuff.